Hello, my name's Matt, and I'm here with the Please Hustle Responsibly podcast with Christina Magro and Christina Beltry. Today, we're joined with Alex and Megan from Paramount Personal Fitness, and we're going to be talking a little bit about them and fitness in general. But before that, I want to check in with the Christinas and see how they're doing. Beltry, how are you?
I am living the dream, loving the snow, having a great time. Mags, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Winter time in Chicago is always entertaining for me because of what people choose to use for dibs. And I just moved, so I'm on a pretty busy street over here. So every morning I like get up and look out the window, and we've been getting a lot of snow here in Chicago. So the dibs is getting more and more intense. Like it's now plywood with multiple chairs stacked up, and it's almost like art installations, and I'm here for it. So I'm just having a great time enjoying Dibs culture over here for sure. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I've also been on the lookout for some dib sculptures. Here, there's someone who's like freezing pants and using them like stood up in the parking spot as like their dibs, which I want to see very badly, but I have not found it. I did see like a shower non-slip chair kind of thing, like if you have like a broken leg as somebody's dibsing tool today, and I thought that was a pretty interesting use for that. But yeah, I'm good. Just enjoying the snow and dreaming of warmer times. Uh, Megan and Alex, how are you guys doing? Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us. I'm going to let him go first because he had a 5 a.m. client. My first client wasn't until 6 a.m., so he's been up a little bit longer than I have.
I'm doing good. We were gone for a while, so I was quarantining, so I hadn't left the house in a little bit. So today's actually my first day leaving in quite a bit. So it was just nice to be somewhere else, and like some of my sessions were physically in the gym, and then the other half of them were I was physically in the gym, but it was kind of like this on Zoom. So it was just nice to be in a different space. So
Sure.
actually a pretty good place right now.
Yeah, I'm good. I also had like a really kind of sweet, inspiring story. I think we talk about dibs and I find it hilarious. I think people should continue to like be extreme with it, but sometimes it feels a little selfish at times. And this woman I trained this morning, her husband and all the guys from the block went out yesterday and just shoveled everybody in the block out. So they all had like a beer. They went out and shoveled all their neighbors' cars out, like sidewalks, little alleys down the side of the buildings. And I thought that was just really sweet and like a really nice way to like do community stuff. And so my day started out with like a really positive story. So
That's
great.
super nice. That's how it should be.
Right.
Like, yeah, let's be a community.
Right.
All right. Cool. Well, let's get this started. So, I heard about you guys first from Chris and Calvin Marty at Best Intentions, and and that whole crew over there, Andrew and all of them have talked about how great you guys are, and so I'm very excited to get a chance to talk with y'all. And I'm just curious, how did you guys get your start with Paramount?
Great question. I originally started it was actually originally a mobile business. So way back in 2005-ish, 6-ish, it's been a while. I just kind of wanted to help people get in shape, and I was just had a set of adjustable dumbbells. I was just driving around in my car to like any park or suburb or office building you could kind of find where people needed help. So I didn't really have much, but it was just a lot of in-home training, a lot of stuff in the park, just to help people reach their goals, whatever that was. So that's kind of how it started, and then Megan jumped in and joined me. You left your corporate role in.
Yeah, I did corporate healthcare stuff, consulting. And so 2013, I joined up with him. We are married, by the way, too. So we're in the same space. So we're business partners. We're married. We got married like 2 years ago. So we started dating in 2009, 2010. And then a couple years later, I joined the business to kind of help him launch a physical space. And then I fell in love with this work. So I'm still doing it, however many years later. So we opened our first physical location in 2013.
Yes.
Which is on Armitage. It's so if you're in the Chicagoland area, it's between like Western and California on Armitage.
By 90 Mile.
By 90 Mile.
Always a bar or a restaurant reference. So yeah, that's kind of how it started, and now we moved into physical space, and it's really just about kind of building community here in the neighborhood, and now obviously transitioning that online and just helping people to be kind of our taglines like be more awesome, and kind of helping people to be better at at life, whatever that means for them. Whether that's keeping up with their grandkids, whether that's running a triathlon, whether that's losing weight, whether that's just feeling better, kind of whatever that means for you. We're not here to tell you what that is. It's just like, hey, tell us what you need, and we'll kind of give you some ideas and some guidance of how to help you get there, how to help. So,
yeah.
I love that. It's so much positivity, which is great, which is what you want. And as I found from physical activity, which is rewarding, is a positive feeling that comes from it. So what are some of the ways that physical fitness can benefit your mental health?
Great question. I'd say definitely, yeah, somebody who's I'm super ADHD, so I'm all over the place. My brain's always all over the place, and having dealt with some depression and some anxiety in the past myself. It's just the clarity. The clarity is huge for me. I actually have a set reminder in my phone that kind of goes off.
He's looking for his phone right now.
Yeah. It probably goes off about I don't know, except for every 6 weeks, just in case I fall off the wagon. It basically says hey, make sure you're exercising, because it is exact words is you're gonna be a better husband, you're gonna be a better son, you're gonna be a better trainer, you're gonna be a better boss. If you're working out, if not, for me, my head's not as clear. I'm grumpier. It's just I just don't function as well, and it's easy for me. Even as a trainer to slip into oh, I got to do this work. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I'm just going to kind of relax and not move. And when that happens, it's just, for me, it goes badly. So I'm a huge proponent of that. And there's just a bunch of benefits health wise.
And I think with a lot of our clients that we have, it's an hour that they get to dedicate just to themselves. Mm-hmm. And so even if I do have clients that come in and they just want to talk to me for 20 minutes before we do anything, but it's an hour where they just get to focus on themselves and prioritize themselves and not worry about what's happening in the news or social media. They get to completely disconnect. And then when they move, they become more empowered with what their bodies can do. So it's less about the physical goals of how they look, and more about still physical goals, but oh, I was able to do a bench press of 80 pounds today, and that was freaking badass. And so they just get more they increase their strength, but they increase their confidence as well, just seeing what their body can do. But I think for most people, for my people at least, it's this hour just to dedicate to yourself and to move your body in a way that feels good. Yeah. And that just has so it translates across so many other things.
Yeah. The human body was just made to move. So us, especially in the current situation now, we're not doing that very much.
Yeah.
Everything, the systems are so interconnected, from the brain to the physical exertion side of it, to the gut, and how that affects our hormones and our emotions. We were made to move. So kind of doing that, and whatever form that ends up being, we're proponents of, whatever you can find that you like to do, is going to be something that's beneficial for you.
I love that. And it kind of answers my next question, which is the importance of having of regulating your busy lifestyle, especially in an industry like hospitality, which is so go, and taking that time for yourself is so important for mental clarity and just overall health.
Yeah.
It's hard for your industry as well, because you guys are typically on your feet a lot more and you're moving stuff around more. So it feels like you're working all the time.
Yeah.
To go and do a workout. It can be challenging, which is why I think he said anything that you do is great. So the more we can add play with movement in the world, I think is the key. So if that's Zumba or water aerobics, who freaking cares as long as you're having fun?
Yeah.
I
think more play. If we could have more play in the world, I think we would all be happier.
Yeah. I agree with that.
On that note, so do you guys have any tips for some quick and easy ways that hospitality workers can build this kind of stuff into their lifestyle? So as making it more fun and easy to keep up with, rather than like, all right, I just worked an 8-hour shift on my feet, running around, moving this from here to here. Like, what are some easy ways that they can continue, like do a physical workout afterwards and not feel the burnout of constant like movement like that?
You go.
I'd say start with like little things. Whether it's just find one stretch that you like and try and throw that in before your shift, after your shift, halfway through your shift. You mentioned the post-it note up above the door.
I love kind of creating your space to add movement into the world, and he doesn't like it. I'm convincing him though that we're going to start doing this, but like having like stick-it notes like at door frames. So every time you walk by a door frame in your house, you go up and reach it, and then you get like a nice little stretch, and it's like, kind of silly. Or having like little things like throughout the apartment that you have to like bend over and pick up. Like it doesn't have to be like an hour of like intensity. You can sprinkle stuff in and just have it be part of like your home life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I would start.
Yeah, I'd say that, and then within kind of even with the more quote unquote traditional workout stuff, even if you just find like one thing that you like because you like it, or because it makes you move better or makes you feel better, something that is positive or is going to work for you. Like, all right, I'm just going to take 2 minutes once a day and add this in. And that's just kind of part of my life because it makes my shoulders feel better, or my knees, or my back, or my hips, or whatever it is. It could be a stretch. It could be hanging out in a specific position.
Let's give them like 2 examples that they could try.
2 examples. I would say, great question.
Let's be more.
Even just like a half kneeling stretch would be.
Okay. So this is more for our seated people, but half kneeling, so one knee on the ground, 1 foot forward. He'll demo this right now for you guys, so you can kind of like picture it. But it just is a big hip opener stretch, but it gets your glutes engaged. It helps with posture a little bit.
Yeah, even just like hanging out in this position, or.
And then you can add some movement in. I don't know. That's really for you guys, but yeah, so something simple like that. So like, and you could do that while you're watching TV. So like you could say, I'm going to just do this half kneeling guy for 30 seconds on both sides. And that is more than I did yesterday. So I won.
Yeah. I'd say that pelvic tilts would be another good one for them to do as they're standing, right?
All right. So pelvic tilts, you guys are, if you're working on your feet a lot, we've had a lot of people tell us that like lower back stuff ends up being an issue. So our favorite thing are pelvic tilts, but we call them Beyonce and Urkels. So you kind of move your hips into a Beyonce shape and then move them into an Urkel shape. And that kind of helps you get centered. And like your ideal posture is like halfway between those 2 points.
Yeah. So just slight arch in the back, slight tuck, just to give your body more awareness of how your, I know that everybody else can't see me, but kind of how your pelvis is stacked. And then once you find the middle, that should put more pressure on your core, less pressure on your lower back. So that can kind of just help you give you awareness, whether you're standing, seated, whatever it might be, lying down, kind of how you're holding your pelvis. That way you're not kind of in a more Beyonce quote unquote position where you're extended and then you're just hanging out here all day long, making drinks, picking stuff up in that position. So just kind of being more aware of how your pelvis is. So I don't know where we stole Beyonce Urkel from.
Oh, I went to a pole dancing class and they wanted more Beyonce in the pole dancing class. And I was like, I get it, but this is going to work really great for us.
Less Beyonce, posture wise, just when you're moving. So like, yeah, just like a little drill like that, even just like, all right, here's a check-in as I'm moving throughout the day.
So the next time you guys are talking to like Chris or Calvin or Andrew, like ask them about Beyonce Urkel and they'll probably do it while you're talking to them.
Just shaking their hips around.
I really love the idea of that. The visual of them doing this is pretty entertaining to me. And that's great to hear too, because I feel like, a lot of people who are just getting into physical fitness, it can be kind of intimidating, especially because so many things seem like there's like all this structure to it. There's like all of this like you have to do this, you have to get up at the same time every day, you have to do these things at this time, you have to like do these things, you have to eat like this, and you have to do that, which like I'm sure there are important things about like all of those things, but it's hard when you live in an industry where you're working 8 to 12 hours a day. Your schedule changes up all the time. You could be at work at 4 p.m. till 3 a.m, or you could be in at work at 9, and it changes up on a daily basis. So it's nice to know that like just getting out there and doing something is so beneficial to just yourself in general.
Yep.
Yeah, that's huge for you guys. It's I think that's kind of where kind of Boomerang came about, which
Well,
is
initially,
yeah.
just talking with our friends at Best, it was they had complained to us for at least a year about like, oh man, I got to get into the gym, like everything hurts, like. And then I think I don't remember how many years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I just said, hey, you guys have an appointment at 1 o'clock next Monday with Alex. You just have to show up, and they just started coming in.
Yeah.
So that's been great, but it led into Boomerang that it's so hard for folks in your industry to like know where to start, and it's also really scary, and there's a lot of pressure, and then it's a time constraint, and then a lot of people are especially now dealing even more so with like mental health stuff, so like going into a new space or talking to like a new person, it can be really intimidating. So with Boomerang, we're just trying to like make it easier. So what can we do to make things easier, and we hope that we're going to start helping more with that.
Yeah, kind of. There's such a huge need. I feel like.
Yeah, so what are the things that you found that have made it easier through Boomerang to do this?
I say part of what you mentioned is like how it's like, and we talk about like, oh, having an hour dedicated, which is awesome if you work a 9 to 5. But you mentioned just like, hey, how it's, the schedules are so crazy. It's like, hey, and I said, anything you can do is great. So even if we can take this, we're not even going to say the whole workout. We can take like what I might do for my workout, like my first 5 minutes, just my warm up and my breathing and my stretching, which might be 5 minutes, is actually the most important part of everything I'm doing. You know what I mean? Or one of the most important parts. So it's like, all right, if we can just start there and start with, all right, how's your posture? How's your breathing? How's your mobility or stability? Like that's like enough. Like even if you can just do that a couple times a week for a couple minutes, that's like huge. So it's kind of like splitting up some of our longer program stuff. Be like, all right, here's kind of the baseline or the most important parts of it. And like, hey, let's just do this, and down the line, if you want to dedicate more time, like great, you can go in and do this hour and kind of we'll help you with that. But if not, kind of here the things that are just going to get you started movement wise, and then also translate really well to what you got to do in work, what you got to do in life.
So we have a handful of videos on YouTube. So kind of being able to have more on demand when you're available to do stuff. So we're really kind of thoughtful with like what we want to share and introduce. So our assumption is everyone's coming in as a beginner. So like, where do we start? And then how do we like progress through that? And the videos are, I don't know, 10 to 25 minutes long. And we want to continue to do more of those. So like you guys have a bigger database of like on-demand stuff that you can do. And then I think in March, we're going to start doing like an intro to fitness, fundamentals of fitness for 3 weeks. That's going to be free for folks in the industry. Where we'll do like an actual Zoom class and like go through a bunch of instruction with the group, which will hopefully lead to other things. Yeah. So we're excited to see where the interest is and what the need is and how we can be a partner with you guys.
That's awesome. Did you guys have any hospitality industry experience? Are you guys ever working in bars and restaurants?
I did for like 3 months in high school. He did way more.
I did when I was younger, and it was it's hard. I remember it being a lot of work. It was freaking hard. So yeah, I've been there a little bit for quite a few years when I was younger, and yeah, it was a grind. I remember like that was when I think I did everything. I worked at a hotel restaurant for a while. Okay. Set all different positions, and I just remember the hours like even back then, like when I was younger, like all right, I got to be up. Super early, I got to work super late, or I work in banquets at a hotel, and then it's like, all right, I got to be up to do the continental breakfast or run this. So it was a challenge.
But we always say that like people in the service industry, especially, like there are people like we would love to get anybody who's like a bartender or a waiter or somebody and like to come in and be a personal trainer with us. Like you guys just know how to talk to people and like handle a crisis and like adapt on the fly and then make things fun. So much about this is keeping it fun. Yeah. And so like, yeah, that's our dream. Like, I don't know, employee would be somebody from the industry. Even with like any like crazy unhealthy habits, like you just like know how to talk to people, which is like apparently a very hard skill.
Yeah. It is, and it's like it's weird and like emotional and mental skill more so than like the physical aspect of it.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's going to be a really great skill to have coming out of this pandemic because everyone's going to be a little bit more socially awkward than when we started.
Definitely.
So like Alex, you have your experience in hospitality, so you know, and I think it's something that a lot of people in hospitality don't focus on enough, which is rest. Uh, you know, because it is just a go 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 kind of thing, and I don't think that we've really ever been trained or thought to teach ourselves the importance of rest, especially, you know, you like work, you go out afterwards, and you know, you don't sleep enough or whatever. But with working out, it's super important to have your rest periods too. So can you tell us a little bit why about like the rest is so important?
Great question. Basically, we're putting all these stressors on our bodies, just as humans in life. And obviously, like there's the emotional stress of life and work, and then there's like the physical stress of it. And then we want to like, hey, I want to work out, so I want to go run or do yoga or rock climb or whatever it is. And that's awesome stress, and your body can adapt to these stresses. But when we kind of keep piling that stress on top of each other and on top of each other and on top of each other without ever letting your body recover, then you can kind of run into some issues. So kind of that's where it's huge. It's like human body is amazing, can do amazing things, can adapt to a ton of stress, but at some point, kind of we need to in there somewhere, some shape or form, build in some rest and some recovery. So some sleep, some just kind of time off a little bit for the body. And that includes for working out, because for my workout, people who are like diehard workout folks, I'm like, hey, slow down, take some rest. Same thing. You're putting these stressors on your body. You're not at any point kind of backing off and letting your body kind of recover and rebuild and kind of get back to a baseline. It's kind of constantly beating it down, which is when you get sick or injured or weird hormone stuff happens and gut stuff happens, and the systems are so very interconnected. It's like this combination or cocktail, if you will, of like stress and sleep and food, and it's like it just adds up, and then things can go bad. So it's like a matter of like figuring out with obviously realistically, like if I want to do this and if this is my life, and with what you guys do, like your body is your work. You know what I mean? Like if you can't physically get out of bed and go to work, like you can't earn a living. For the most part. And obviously, we're all making changes and adaptations right now. But it's like all right, if you want to have the longevity to be able to do this and like use your body and physically be able to do what you need to do, it's like all right, you need to think like a little bit more long term to like at some point, like all right, I can't just beat my body down, beat my body down, beat my body down. I have to figure out ways to implement within this lifestyle, like how am I going to take care of myself, even if it's just a little bit here, a little bit there, versus just being like, I'll be fine.
So would you prioritize sleep or would you prioritize working out?
Ooh, for these guys, I would probably say sleep actually to start with. I know I'm a fitness supposed to say you need to work out, but I would actually say sleep would be like the starting point. And then once we get that figured out, we can slowly like start adding a little fitness. But I mean,
yeah.
I feel like there's a level of extremism that comes with like being a person in hospitality. And one of the things that I face is like, I used to be an athlete and I used to be really physically fit. So then when I try to get back into it, I always like go for it. And then I'm like, I'm tired. So like what? And I always try to tell myself, I'm like, okay, you need to like take baby steps into this, but I still can't beat this mentality of like where I was. So what advice do you have for people like me?
You're not gonna like it, but take it slow. So we love like being 1% better. So if you are 1% better every day for a year, like you're gonna go so much farther, and it's gonna be consistent, and you're gonna be able to maintain it probably for the rest of your life then, versus the highs and lows. And then when you get to the high and then you kind of burn yourself out or get injured or you get tired or you feel bad about yourself, like I do. So it's like, how can you like just be a little bit better, and then but also be really kind to yourself. Like we live in a rough time in the world, So I would rather be nice to yourself and just be a little bit better than try to be perfect or do what you did 10 years ago. Like that 10-year-old that person from like your 20s, that's gone. That was a great time. They were awesome. But like you're awesome today too, but it's just a little bit different. So how can we like honor yourself today and then but also work towards whatever goals you have that you want to work towards?
Yeah, everything we like look at and see everywhere is telling us we need to get everything we want in life like now, tomorrow, next week. How can I make all this money by like in a month? How can I get these six packs abs and this great ass in like 3 weeks and rib pecs or whatever? You know what I mean? It's like everything is like, all right, now, but it's like part of it is the journey. You know what I mean? Part of like getting there is going to be the journey. And it's like, I would say like with fitness, you don't want to win the lottery. Like I don't want like it was like a biggest loser. Like I don't want people losing like 30 pounds a week. Like that's going to go bad long term because I'm going to see you like 2 years from now and it's going to go back down where it was. But if you can like slowly do the 1% better thing, whether that's with your food or your fitness or just your life in general, you're going to learn so much in slowly just doing that 1%. And then you're also going to build the habits that go along with it. It's going to stick for you way more than if you just like show up at my gym, lose 20 pounds or get up, make all this huge change or rip this workout like you did 20 years ago. Like right away, it's just not, the longevity is probably not going to be there for most folks. I mean, there are definitely exceptions to the rule, but I feel like
it's also not that fun. It's like really stressful and time consuming.
Yes. So what you say also, yeah.
Is that step by step, like 1% better mentality? Is that where Be More Awesome comes from? Like I see it on your shirt and I saw it on your guys' website, and I love that.
It was kind of an accident. All of the people that we've attracted through Paramount have really full, interesting, awesome lives outside of the gym. Like they're not like living a gym life. Like they're playing in like different bands or they're like illustrating comic books. They're, volunteering. They have like really interesting, awesome things going on, like raising kids. So our thought is you're already awesome, like as you are today. Yeah. And we just want to help you be a little bit more awesome. Like if that's what you want to do, whatever that is. So it doesn't have to be related to fitness. But if we could help you on that journey to be like a little bit more awesome, because the people we attract want to be more awesome. Like we are continuing trying to like do cool stuff. And that's where that came from. Yeah. I think 1% just blends in really well with it.
Yeah. And I felt like, the people, they're always like, hey, the fact that you're like looking to make a change in your life and be a better version of you, that already makes you like awesome. You know what I mean? No matter where you are in your journey, like, hey, you're trying to self-improve, whether that's, seeing us or talking to a therapist or learning how to dance or, you know what I mean? Like you're already trying, you're already on that path to self-improvement, which is awesome in and of itself. We're just here to kind of help you with the fitness part of it. And like, we want you to go on with the rest of your life and keep going, doing those other things and learning different skills and being a better you to, all the people that you can kind of interact with in life and in the world.
He's so good.
Yeah, he is. And I think that's like a great motto for any person to take into their day by day. Like, if you're making a step forward, you're making yourself better. And I think that, like you were touching on earlier, we're so prone to beating ourselves up. Like, I like to go bouldering a lot, and like if I climb poorly, then I'm just like, I climbed like shit today, and I beat myself up over it. And it's like, but at least I got out there. At least I'm doing something and being active and doing what I can to make my day better. So I think it's good to just, instead of going initially right to that you did bad, like be like, you did something, and that's good. So I had a question. We obviously live in a very technologically advanced world, and right now everybody's kind of spending a lot of time at home. Do you have any advice on like apps that are beneficial for people to use in this time?
In terms of like health and fitness or like wellness?
Yeah, in health and fitness. I mean, it's like I was looking through the app store the other day, and I just like saw so many things, like just like very broad spectrum of things out there.
I'm gonna share 3, and then he can. So the first one might not be what you would think, but it would be a timer to turn off certain apps on your phone.
Actually.
So if you are finding that you're on social media or like looking at the news or like watching Netflix or something on your phone, or if you're scrolling, like doom scrolling, like we were doing like a few months ago, like turning your phone off at like 11 p.m. or midnight or 1 a.m., whatever it is, or like only allowing yourself like 60 minutes on Instagram or whatever it is. So that would be the first one, is like to limit screen time.
Yeah, just for
if you find that that's like something that you're spending a lot of time on. The second one is to track your steps. So how much movement are you getting in the day? So a lot of people have like wearable devices. I think you can do that on your phone as well. I don't know one in particular, but there's a ton of apps that are free that track your steps. It might already be on your phone as well. And then
I think it tracks just through the health app.
Yeah.
Or if you have Apple, I don't know if the Android has an equivalent.
We're Android people.
We're Android, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So with the steps, I think you look at where your average is for like a week of how many steps per day that you're getting, and then apply the 1% better. You're not going to go from like 3,000 steps to 10,000 steps overnight. So figure out what the math is, and it might be you just add 50 more steps in your day or 100 more steps, and then slowly progress your way up. So I love that just for like daily movement. And then the third one, we use an app called Carb Manager. This is for our food. I don't think you have to go there, but if you were interested to kind of see what your baseline was, I found that I was way off when I started doing it like 2 weeks ago. So it was an eye opener of just to kind of just track in and just see what my booze intake was compared to my food intake. And so I made a couple adjustments just because it wasn't serving me anymore, but that would be my third one. So you get limit screen time, add movement, kind of look at what your baseline is for food, and start from there.
Yeah. And I say with that Carb Manager, again, it's not saying like you can't ever have a carb in your life. It's just a way to track. So there's other things.
It's like MyFitnessPal. It's just a better interface.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's, again, that's something I think we like more for eye-opening, but not for like long-term, like you need to track your food for the next year or the rest of your life or anything like that. It can sometimes just be like, oh, well, like for me, every now and then I'll do it every couple of years. I'll be like, all right, well, I forgot what 4 ounces of X, Y, or Z actually looked like, because either I was way smaller than I thought or it was way bigger than I thought. So it's just like a check-in every now and then.
Like a serving of salad dressing. It's a real bummer if you ever like a serving of salad dressing.
I get these peanut butter pretzels from Costco, and I just looked at the serving size on those and realized that it's 8 pieces versus like, the giant handful that I would normally
Well,
go for.
8 pieces is just the warm-up, right? That's just like priming the palate.
I would say my thoughts on apps. There's a ton of, and again, I'm going to go more the mental health side, but there's just a ton of really cool like meditation apps and breathing apps out there. The one I currently use is called My Life, and it's just like more of a meditation kind of thing, which I was never a huge meditation guy, but I've slowly added that in. And it's just like, hey, I put like how I'm feeling today. It has like an angry face and smiley face, and then it has like, am I feeling depressed or angry or sad or jealous or envious or fulfilled, or you know what I mean? I can like click on all these little things of how I'm feeling, and then it says like, hey, here are the couple of different options of like, 5-minute meditations might want to kind of guided little deals you might want to go along with. So I say there's that. There's some really other good breath apps as well.
And actually, we are nerding out about breath. That's like one of the big things. The base of like all we do at Paramount is breathing, which we didn't really get to talk about yet. So I take back the half kneeling and pelvic tilts. If you were going to do anything, it would be to do like 2 to 5 minutes of just deep kind of belly breathing in and out through your nose. Yeah.
Yeah, I say 360 breathing. So into your stomach, into your sides, into your low back. Send that breath down more or less up into your neck and shoulders, which is stress breathing and does a bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah. So yes, we take it back. Breathing would be the first thing to put
Which is like a nice little like standing rest period while you're at work, just your breathing, which is important.
What are you doing? The bar is packed. Sorry.
Got it. It's the time. I'll serve you better after this, by the way. I just need my 2 minutes.
Well, speaking of like the work-life balance, something that like I personally struggled with was maintaining a diet with working. And I work in kitchens, so it's like, wake up, go into work, and then don't eat for 4 or 5 hours, and then it's either staff meal or you just like slam a deli of something that's not necessarily like, I'm rarely making a salad at work. I work at a pizza place, so usually it's like a slice of pizza or something like that. So I was wondering if you guys had any like helpful tricks for maintaining like a healthy diet practice while working in a very busy field.
I have a woman who worked at a bar downtown, and her strategy, which I think worked, was she made little baggies of like peppers and like carrot sticks and like little things that she would just keep wherever her like stuff was. And so anytime she would like leave the bar to like go to the kitchen or like get something, she would like grab like a little bite, because you can't really, it's hard to sit down and have a meal during your shift, right? Like it's a little grab and go bites. And focusing on like vegetables or like she had like these little salami bites that she got from Aldi. So like little bite-sized things of like vegetables and protein that you can grab. And then I love like protein shakes as an option. So even if you're able to just like sip it while in between stuff, you can get vegetables, protein. It's easy. It's really quick to consume. And then you're not craving, you'll still crave pizza, because like who doesn't always crave pizza? At least you're getting some like good stuff in beforehand.
Before the pizza, yeah.
Yeah, like pizza just feels like a nice foundation for a healthy diet, I think.
Yeah. And then, it's doing the best you can when you're at home then. So like your work life, but like, are you starting your day with like a great breakfast? Like, are you having like a good foundation if you can? I know sometimes mornings or you're starting later, but trying to get like a good high protein,
balanced meal
when you are at home.
Yeah, I'd say as much as you can, like figuring out, and obviously it's the nutrition side's a journey for everybody, but especially for folks in your industry. So I'd say figuring out kind of along that journey of what's going to work for you, and trying to what she said, which is like kind of like at times when you have control, which is like before work, when you're off days, like do as much as you can and kind of figure out the best way to kind of control those things. Because obviously there's going to be times where it's like, well, like this is just going to be what it is. You know what I mean? Even though I kind of wanted to do something different, I'm like, after work, it's late. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the greatest situation. And I know that's the norm for you guys, but as much as you can earlier in the day, earlier in the shift, to kind of control what you can and kind of, set some boundaries, set some goals, and try some different things and see what works and what doesn't work. Is like, all right, do I have like a thing of hard-boiled eggs, or do I have a shaker? You know what I mean? Or, whatever you might have, or do I bring a sandwich and, have that real quick between setting up and open, or is that just not realistic for my setup at work? And like, all right, I tried that, it was a complete failure. All right, like what else can I try in this situation to control? And obviously, again, don't beat yourself up, but focus on kind of those times where, as much as you can controlling. And then if you have a day off, like, hey, can I control better my day off? I'm actually enjoying like these random pizza puffs at like 9 a.m. All right, if you are, cool, have at it. But if I'm just doing this just to do it because it's here, like maybe I'd be better served by doing something that's a little healthier.
And then going back to the 1% better, like you're not going to do everything all at once. So like what's one small change that and for you guys too, like what's one small change that you could make this week to move or progress towards your goal or whatever it is you're working towards? So like one small change, less than 5 minutes of effort is kind of what we're looking for. So that 1% better is like 5 minutes of effort is kind of what we're looking at.
And I think it's really important what you guys are saying, just like to kind of grasp victory in the small things too, instead of like focusing on the negative aspects. Just like every step forward is like a great progress for everyone.
Yeah.
So like in social media and on the media, we see a lot of like different body types, and I was wondering if you could kind of tell us how like that's not always the healthiest aspect or the healthiest way to be, especially if you're not listening to your bodies while you're like chasing after this goal.
Definitely. I would say
You go.
From what you see, it's slimmer doesn't quote unquote healthier. Just because you're thicker doesn't mean it's unhealthy, and kind of there's a range within that. Everything kind of we see is obviously like airbrushed and pre-marketed and photoshopped and not real anyway. But it's hard when it's everywhere and everything you see all day long, whether it's conscious or subconscious, to not kind of like make that part, ingrained in kind of our brain as to like that being the goal. So I think it's unattainable. I mean, for me, people also often come in, and I feel like being a former athlete, people come in and say, "Hey, I want to look like LeBron James without my shirt on." Well, great. So I want to train like LeBron James, but it's like, all right, an athlete. I'll use that as our example at the moment. This athlete is at the peak of their profession for like 5 to 10 years, usually between the age of like 16 and like 27. So to put that as like, all right, this is a standard of how you want to be or how you want to train or how you want to look for a lifetime is kind of silly in my opinion. So it's kind of like that's not sustainable or necessarily healthy. Also, just looking at the athlete side of it, because things people do for as an athlete or even as a dancer are amazing, and the human body is amazing, but that doesn't necessarily mean you want to do them. They're healthy or they're fit. So
yeah. And then from the other side, the non-athlete side, like I just did a little research yesterday. So the average American woman right now is like between a size 16 to 18, I think is like the average of where the average American woman is. If you look at like Mindy Kaling, she's a size 8, and she's often portrayed as like the chubby, like, woman in the show. Amy Schumer is the same thing. She's like a size 6. So we have the average American woman, and then we have like what we've seen portrayed on TV as like the average American larger woman. And then we look at like fashion models. A size 0 is too big now. Like you have to be a 00 to be a fashion model. And some of their workouts, it was, we don't add any protein into their diet like the week or 2 leading up to fashion week because we don't want them to put on any muscle. And we're only going to do stuff that's going to make their like hips and waist get smaller. Like we don't want them to have muscle. We don't want them to like get any bigger. And so it's crazy. It's like so unfair and very unhealthy. So what you see on TV, even social media, like the Fitspo people, like this is their job. Like they are creating content to sell stuff. And so all they do the rest of the time is work out, diet like crazy, and then contort their body into weird positions and then figure out the filters to make them look like even smaller. So yes, it's not good. We're not.
So yeah, it's this crazy world we live in.
Yeah.
Well, I had one last question for you guys, and that is, as friends of the hospitality industry, what are some things that you would like to see in the future of the hospitality industry?
I wrote a bunch of notes.
Yeah, notes.
Okay. Higher wages. I would love to see that if that's what we're going down. Yeah. Like mandatory health insurance, like mental health resources, better hours, like work-life balance, like that's the start of my list.
Yeah, I think the mental health resources is huge.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the mental health stuff is hard, but then it also goes into like how much like you are working so much because you need to get like you're just trying to like hit baseline to survive. So like and it's been even more exposed during COVID. Like everyone that has to go to work right now, I just feel so terrible for you guys. It's really shitty because you feel like it's a choice between paying your rent or your electricity or medication or, dying.
Or not,
yeah.
Yeah. That's great. maybe you guys might be able to get some hospitality workers to come be personal trainers with that.
Sure,
that's what we all want.
I was gonna say, Matt, at least we know we can do that. Like just start our journey. You're already on the journey, but I was just sitting, I was like, all right, well, if that's their dream, I just need to get fit then. And
No,
then
you don't
can
even
be
need
like,
to do that. We can teach you how to teach others. Like, you just have to be able to like have a conversation and like make sure nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
It's
Magro.
more complicated like that, but not that much.
Magro, I think you'd be great at pumping people up.
Yeah. I
Just
was
like
gonna say, like, I've always wanted to be a coach, you know.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Like it.
Love giving motivational speeches. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time, you two, and all of your insight. It definitely makes the start of finding our fitness journeys a lot less intimidating.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hope that whatever we can do, it will be helpful. But yeah, it is scary to go to a new place. But I think that like once you talk to us, especially him, he's so wonderful that like you feel like, oh, I can do this. Like, this is not that big of a deal. He's not gonna make me feel bad.
Right. It doesn't have to be that serious. Like, you can, it doesn't have to be that serious. Just slowly kind of working on change and getting better, a little bit better every day is what it's about. So it's not an all or nothing proposition.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I'm gonna borrow your guys' catchphrase for a second here and just say, remember to be more awesome. And also, everyone, remember to please hustle responsibly. Thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having us, guys.
Bye.